feeling method. So let's see, I'll say a few basic things about feeling the pulse. So the best time, which is very rarely that you're going to get to do this, but for yourself you could do this, to feel the pulse is the best in the morning, before you've gotten out of bed. While you're still really rested, everything's really like kind of in balance. So ideally you'd feel it in the morning. They say it when the yin is calm and the yang has not yet come forth. The yang is our outward energy. So before we've like moved and started like going around, so everything's calm. And when you feel the pulse, it shouldn't be higher than the heart. So most people, you wouldn't be feeling it up here anyway, but just to say it's important to feel. I usually feel the pulse when someone's laying on the table. But actually more commonly, I studied in China for a year, and definitely in school, like when I studied there, we feel the pulse when someone's sitting. So you can do it like that, and that's how we'll do it here when we feel each other's pulses in a bit.
So then you wouldn't do the pulse here?
You can do it here. In Japanese style of medicine, they feel it here, and they compare it to the pulse on the wrist. But mainly you feel it in the wrist.
Okay.
And in Ayurveda, it's interesting. So here, I'll just jump in and show you that. So the TCM and the way they do it in Ayurveda is a little different. But in the end, it's the same, actually. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So let's see if I can draw a good hand. I'm not that bad at this, Arts. But like when I did this for class. Okay, you got the idea.
Maybe redraw.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
You could trace your hand.
You want a hand? Paradise.
I should just show you on my own hand. Okay, so we're going to feel at the radial artery. So on the inside of the wrist, the thumb, the radial artery is right here. And then at the crease of the wrist, you're going to put your, so we'll just start with ourselves, right? You feel with your other hand, of course. You're going to place your index finger right at the inside of the crease of the wrist, and then just let naturally your other 3 fingers fall, like this. And so I was just going to mention that in Ayurveda it's interesting because they feel the same pulse, but down one. But everything else is the same in terms of generally. So it's okay. It's all, the relative from one position to the next. But so in Chinese medicine, it's here. So that's where I typically feel the pulse. So in a similar way as the tongue, this is a map of the body. And when you feel with your index finger, you're feeling more the upper body. So this is the simple way I want to teach you, and then we'll go into some more details. But very simple way, this correlates to the upper body. The middle finger is the middle body. And under your ring finger is going to be the lower body. You want to draw a hand? It's harder than it looks. Okay, thanks. A big thumb there. Here, let's take just a little. Alright, you got the idea. Okay, yeah, so here we want to put the positions like this. Okay, and then, so we can say upper, middle, lower. But then we always feel both sides because different organs are associated with those different positions. So I am going to present that to you, but I don't want to overwhelm you with it because that's where it starts to get like kind of, there's a lot here, and there is a lot to it. But again, the basics, if you understand the upper, middle, lower, you can get a lot with that. But so I'll say on the left hand, when you feel the left wrist pulse, this first position is going to show at the surface, because I should say that first actually. You're going to be feeling technically at 3 depths. So when you feel a pulse, you put your fingers on those positions, and you're going to feel very lightly at the very surface, almost with no pressure, just the slightest bit of pressure. So that's the surface level. Then you apply a little more pressure, that's going to be the middle level of the vessel you're feeling. And then you press fairly deeply, and you're pressing in towards the bone. So, and you can just get used to feeling like how it changes when you, I mean, a lot of times I'll close my eyes because it's kind of like you're listening. You're listening to the pulse, even though you're feeling, but you're really listening. So you're trying to feel like, what happens? How is the chi? How is the energy? Is it really present? Is it hard to feel? There's so much variety here of what you can feel. So, some people might be like, wow, that's really intense. It feels really forceful. Oh, I can hardly find it. Oh, there it is. Oh, there, it jumps up. It's good to practice this. And it's easiest to do on yourself, and you can totally feel your own pulse. This is like, fine way to learn it. But so you're going to feel these 3 depths, and the main thing on the left side, when you feel the left wrist, at the surface, you're going to be feeling for the small intestine, and at the deep level, it's the heart, in that first position. And I don't have enough time to go into that because you might be thinking, oh, small intestine, and what's that about? Why is it with the heart? But this is what these pairings, I think I said it quickly in the beginning, that the yin and yang organs are paired. So this is the yin organ, the heart is paired with the yang organ, the small intestine. But anyhow, so those 2 are paired, they're connected. Then at the middle section, the middle pulse, second position, you're going to feel the gallbladder, which is paired with the liver. And then in the third position, you're going to feel, this is where different schools of thought say different things about what you feel in this third position. I usually practice it by, that both sides are the kidney, and that the left side is the kidney yin. Yeah, kidney yin. Some people say you feel pericardium here, but I think the pericardium is so connected to the heart that, they really the pericardium is the heart protector. It's the covering of the heart, and really they're so connected. I tend to think you're feeling more pericardium when you feel here. Okay. So kidney, and then on the right hand, the first position at the surface level, you're going to feel the large intestine. And then at the deep level, you feel the lung. And those 2 organs are paired. At the middle section, you're going to feel at the surface the stomach, and at the deep position, the spleen. And then at the surface of the third position, again, it's kidney, and it's the yang. And I should say at the surface is the bladder. On both sides. So, I said earlier that you're feeling 3 depths, and you are, but the most important is the surface and the depth. So it's really, so if you remember that, that's great, but I think it may be more useful even for you just to remember this upper body, middle body, lower body. Could be, but it depends how far you want to go with this and think about it, and there's so much. Are my abbreviations making sense?
ST, SP?
ST is stomach, and then SP is spleen. And if you think about it, this is the middle body, spleen, stomach, liver, gallbladder, kind of literally, right? And then upper body, heart, lung. And at the surface of all the pulses, you're feeling the yang organs. And when you press in deep, you're feeling the yin organs. But maybe that's a simpler way of saying it. So those are the positions, that's the map. But then from there, what are we feeling? So this is, right? So this is there's a lot to it. But again, I want to make it very simple. So the biggest things that are obvious to feel are going to be, what do you think?
Speed.
The rate. So this is, pulse is a very subjective method of diagnosis. That's the downside of this method. It's very subjective. It's like, But if you hone your skills and you get good at it, it can become an incredible method of diagnosis. So that's, you know, these pulse practitioners, there's certain people who are just famous for this. You know, in China, you hear about these doctors who just like, they just get really good at this. And they can feel like ancestral qualities in your pulse and just be every time spot on. Or predictive, you know, just say, oh, you should be really careful in blah, 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 how many years, this or this might happen, you know. So this is actually, if you're able to pull your mind back and not like just put too many cognitive things in there, you know, just really listen and feel and be open to what you feel. And again, just like the tongue, feel pulses, just feel people's pulses. If you're a practitioner, feel people's pulses. Again, even if you feel it and you're like, I don't know what I'm feeling here, you'll start to learn. It's just what happens. It's just like anything. You just have to do it. So, but some basic things you can definitely, are less subjective, I think. The rate, right? We can count the rate. We can, so the way they say it, they divide this basically into a rapid pulse versus a slow pulse. So rather than having to sit there with a watch and feel and count for a whole minute, which you can do that too, but another simple way of doing it is beats per respiration. So just one breath, you know, a complete respiration, inhale and exhale. So how many pulse beats do you feel in that? So I'll just tell you that one now, because this is one I think if you can just get used to feeling this. So slow is going to be 3 beats or less. Rapid is going to be 5 or more beats. And that's just for one complete inhalation and one exhalation. And so what do you think rapid indicates if you feel a rapid pulse?
Heat in the heart.
Heat. Again, hot and cold, like really, you can really get this down. And so slow is cold. So what is another least, of all the things we can feel, another least subjective aspect to this would be what, do you think?
Weak and strong.
Yeah. Like if you can feel, if it's really forceful or not. And it's also fairly easy to feel that. Most people can feel it. So that's a very general way of saying it. But if it's forceful, what do you think that tells you in terms of our 8 methods of diagnosis?
Heat.
No. There's hot, cold. What were those 8? Remember those 8 methods? They were down here. Excess. Yeah. And if it's weak, it's the other one, right? Deficiency. Yeah. So I think really that right there is a very achievable goal to feel, right? Let's see. So a normal healthy pulse is going to be about 4 beats for respiration cycle. If you did want to feel it for the whole minute, then it's going to be about 70 to 80 beats per minute. It's going to be kind of soft, but with strength, and regular in terms of rhythm. And they call it if it has root. So if a pulse has root, it means when you feel all the way at the depths, you can still feel it. It's strong. Like it's not strong. Is not a good word, but you can feel it has strength to it. Yeah, all the way through. All right. So that's like kind of the map and the basic things to feel. What time is it? Let's see. 11:07. We have till 11:15. 11:30. Oh, we have till 11:30. Oh, good. Okay, so because I did want to go through. So there are 28 or sometimes 29 pulse qualities that you can feel. So the main things you feel are the rate, you feel the depth, and then you feel the quality. This is where it gets really fancy, and we're not going to be able to go really deep into this topic. It takes a long time to learn the qualities. But there's some qualities that I think you can feel more easily, and that are also more common. You know, that it's likely that when we feel each other's pulses, you might feel these things, okay? So maybe, is it okay to erase this? Yeah. Yeah, do you mind? So yeah, the three things, the depth, the quality, and the rate, right?
Can you erase everything or just the bottom so you can continue the things as we feel?
Yeah, I guess you could leave that there. Yeah. All right. A different color. I don't think I used green much here. Let's use green. All right. So I want to just give you I guess, I'll just list 10 qualities that you can feel. All right? Here we go. 1, superficial. 2, deep. 3, slow. 4, fast. 5, weak. 6, forceful. 7, wiry. 8, ready. Or sometimes you hear that one as thin. 9, slippery, which is my favorite one. No. and choppy. So these are all fairly common to feel. And actually, I think this is doable, that we can get an understanding of these actually this morning. Oh, D. Yeah, sorry, it's not D.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just tell you quickly what each of these feels like a little bit and what it means. So if you feel superficial, this means this is a big one because, again, a lot of us might treat colds and flus, or it happens to us all fairly regularly. So superficial pulse is what you'll feel if someone has a cold. So actually this happened to me last week. I had a patient call me. She was like, I'm supposed to travel today. I'm not feeling that great. I don't know if I'm getting sick or if it's just allergies. And I was like, oh, it's hard to tell you this. I don't know what to say. And I was kind of busy at the moment. But then I just said, well, okay, come. She came in and I just felt her pulse, because if you can feel a superficial pulse, that's where you can tell, is the energy in my body at the surface trying to ward off something or not? And so it wasn't in her case. It totally was not a superficial pulse. It was like, I think you just have allergies. So she was like, okay. And she went on her trip and she called me the next week. She's like, thank you so much. I got to see my mom and I was fine. So
Is superficial light touch, you still feel it?
So superficial is where, so you're going to feel with very slight pressure. You're not going to put just a little bit of pressure, and maybe when we break after this to feel pulses, we can go around and I can show you what I mean by slight pressure. But you just really, lightly lay your fingers there, and if you feel, especially at this upper position, which is where the lung is, on the right-hand side of the wrist, the right wrist, if you feel that the pulse is really strong there against your finger, and then if you press down and it kind of disappears, you don't feel it so much, that's a superficial pulse. Sometimes actually it's called floating, because I think actually that's a better word in a way, because that tells you about that meaning that it disappears with pressure. It's just floating at the surface. And really that is what's happening. Your body's energy is there trying to ward off this, what they call a pathogen. Or remember I was talking about wind and cold and heat? So that's the pathogen, is really this exterior energy coming into the body, and your body is kind of pushing it out. So that's what's happening. Yeah.
Quick question. Are a lot of these the same for adults as are with children?
That's a good question. No, I mean, it's a deep question in a way, because children are more they're more exuberant.
Yeah.
So they're going to have faster pulses.
That's what I thought.
They're going to, So it's definitely different.
It's hard, maybe almost a little bit harder. Or you just have to know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a different system for working with kids, actually, and feeling the pulse, and their bodies are so thin. Usually you just feel with one finger, and so it's different.
Okay.
So superficial, so that indicates an exterior condition. I'm just going to kind of go through these, and then we can have time to feel them, and so then the deep pulse is interior. So this is the opposite of the superficial pulse. This is something that you can only feel with a significant amount of pressure at the bone. So you feel your pulse like, oh, I'm not feeling too much. Oh, there it is. It's deep. You know, I feel it only when I press really hard on, and then you find it. So that indicates that your energy is deep in the body. So it's an interior level condition. Slow, we already mentioned that, right? 3 beats per respiration, or less than 60 beats per minute if you do want to sit and feel it for a minute, which is sometimes really good to do, to feel it longer and make sure that it's really what, you know, true, what you're feeling. So this indicates cold.